Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Mellow Mama, and today I'll be doing a question and answer session based on the questions you asked me in my, it's been like 2 weeks now since I asked for some Q&A suggestions on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should. I'm the Mellow Mama over there as well, so it's super easy to find me, and it's a good way to get in touch with me now that my comments are disabled, one, and two, just because, you know, it's a great way. You can send me messages, and I like to send voice messages back and give you guys thorough, more personal responses when I can, and when I have a little bit of extra time, which is rare, but I do. And then in general, you can kind of get a peek into me and my son's, daily goings on and what we're up to and what we're into. So there's that. And if you're new here, what's up? I'm Kate. I talk all things conscious living and conscious, respectful parenting with the help of lots of great resources, specifically books, websites, blogs, you name it, on the subject. And of course, I refer back all the time, predominantly to my own personal experience as a mom. So I have yet to actually complete this video, and I've attempted to film it 3 different times, I think. Yeah, and every single time I start, Donovan's door creeps open and he's awake and ready to party. So but anyway, I haven't really been able to review these even, so I'm excited to just dive into it and hopefully give you guys some good responses. I don't know. Here we go. What do you do about bully kids? My daughter is 3 and has been pushed by kids at the park. First of all, I would recommend watching my nonviolent communication video, as well as, there's just so many resources that I want to give you right now, but I'll just give you my quick, simple answer. First of all, avoid labeling anybody in any of your communication, whether that's just internalizing how you're feeling about the interaction your child is having, such as, these children are bullying my kid is now a victim. Avoid those labels and diagnoses. Just observe what's happening, why, and how your child is responding. How is your child actually feeling? Does your child feel bullied, or is that something that you're placing onto your child? It takes long periods of time and experiences for our children to become aware of how relationships function and social interactions, in social settings with their peers, people older than them, people younger than them. This is like a constant learning process, even for us as adults. I think that social interaction is something that we constantly learn and grow in, and it's just like ever changing and flourishing depending on our experience. So I like to refrain from placing any of our personal experiences, perhaps our own childhood trauma and adolescent trauma with other people our age bullied. Of course, if there's actual physical pain being done, if there's real harm being done, of course, we need to intervene, and we need to make sure that our children are playing safely, and that we place a respectful boundary there for either party. I just really like to refrain from starting with those labels. It hurts everybody in the situation. It doesn't actually cause any sort of solution. So just calmly, confidently removing your child, or placing a calm, confident boundary for the other child that is hitting or being physical or doing anything that's inappropriate. Do you ever plan to move back to California? You know what? If you would have asked me 2 months ago, I would have said absolutely. But a lot of things have changed in my life. In fact, when I first moved back to Ohio, it was not a conscious choice. It was like I was left with no other option. I had 1 suitcase, my son, and nothing else. My parents, who lovingly allowed me to stay with them and, take my time as far as recuperating and building my life again. That was a very difficult transition, obviously, especially considering the fact that I really did consider Los Angeles specifically my home, and I felt, just like right in the right place when I lived in Southern California. I mean, I love the open-mindedness of the culture there. I love having so many driven people around, and so many doers in general around me. I like that, obviously, climate-wise, we could be outside year-round, and that we had the ocean and the mountains. I mean, it's just an incredible place to live for so many reasons. However, being a parent now and having my son has changed so many things about my life and my lifestyle and my plans. And I don't ever like to say that I know where I'll be indefinitely, ever. I mean, geez, I love New York City, I love Chicago, I love I would love to maybe explore Europe and see if I would like to live somewhere there. I mean, my good friend Kristen lives in Bali. I mean, that sounds amazing. I love LA. I love San Diego. I mean, there are just so many places that I would love to live, even temporarily. And the lifestyle that I'm creating now for me and my son definitely allows for that. So yeah, I'm not sure if I would live in California again just because of my specific circumstance. I've been facing a lot of threats and bullying from my ex, and I just hate even talking about that. But so it's actually kind of difficult for me to even contemplate being there for my own safety and well-being, and for Donovan's well-being, unfortunately, especially considering what I've just told you, that I love it there so much. But I do love being by my family. And now that it's warmed up in Ohio, it's like springtime, heading into summertime, I'm feeling like pretty confident about living here. That might change again come next winter. You never know. But by then I feel like I'll have enough money, really, to just kind of do whatever I want at that time, even if that means just travel to warmer places during the winter, just because especially after living, in the LA climate for a few years there, I mean, it's been a very hard thing to adapt back to. Even right now, I'm like freezing cold. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for right now, I'm loving living in Ohio, and I'm loving just being able to be with people that love me and lift me up and encourage me. I'm in Ohio for now. Husband thinks wife is too much, too emotional, reactive, and needs her to change for marriage to work. So if you haven't watched my video, I just mentioned it earlier about nonviolent communication. You absolutely need to check it out. I think it would be really beneficial for you and your husband, and for everybody watching, as well as this book. Is it over there? It's called Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks. Another amazing book that I recommend to all couples that talk to me. Ironically enough, because I'm somebody who's a single parent and has been through separation and intense difficulty in a relationship. However, I do understand how a functional relationship can thrive, and how romantic relationships can be just so like, I don't know, beautifully functioning. I don't know. So that book is really helpful, and it's helped so many of the couples that have talked to me, as well as the nonviolent communication book and books and lectures. Here we have somebody that's definitely labeling and diagnosing you as too much, too emotional and reactive. That doesn't help. There's no solution to be had when you're just labeling another person and telling them that they are X, Y, or Z that you don't like. What is helpful is to actually observe the behavior that he doesn't like from you. So maybe you're yelling at him, maybe you're hitting him, like being like aggressive, or maybe you're breaking things, I don't know, or maybe you're just insulting him. Maybe you're coming at him, and that's what he's actually unhappy about. In all honesty, in any case that I've seen or observed, on the outside or been immersed in, there is always the same constant theme of a need for connection, a need for being heard or understood or just seen, listened to. That is what your husband wants. That is what you want. And this deep-rooted insecurity that's in almost, I think, all of us, of not being worthy of those things. We're not worth loving. We're not worth being heard or understood or seen. And so when we meet somebody that makes us feel that way, that makes us feel unconditionally loved, at least for the moment, in the beginning, for example, our insecurity, our ego starts to kind of come up in the littlest ways at first, and maybe in the big ways, depending on your experience as a couple in the relationship. And that's when these moments happen, when we seem reactive or too sensitive, or whatever labels being placed on us. It's because your ego is saying, maybe you're not worth loving, maybe you are too sensitive, maybe you are reactive, maybe you're crazy. And you start to feel these things and maybe contemplate that could be your reality. Maybe you are too much, maybe you're not enough for him, maybe you're not good enough for what he needs, or you can't make a marriage work. And then your ego gets bigger and more inflated and louder and more reactive. And that's really what's happening here. You just need to connect. And he needs to tell you honestly, hey, I don't like it when you yell. Or I don't like it when you call me whatever. Focus on the action and stop labeling each other. I'm sure it might go back and forth. Like, well, you're too insensitive. I don't like that. It needs to be more like, well, I wish you could hear me out. I wish you could hear what's bothering me. And really, if you get to the root of it, it's just, I want to feel connected to you. That's really all it is. And most of the problems that I've seen and help people with, it's always just, they want to connect. They want to feel that unconditional love. And it's just not happening. And it definitely can't ever happen if the labels continue, the diagnosing continues. It just can't. So watch those 2 videos and hopefully that was helpful. Sleep training thoughts, how to deal with the crying. Oof. Well, I don't believe in, I don't advocate for crying it out and allowing our children to just to be left miserable. And I know that maybe offends some people, but there's science behind the fact that that's harmful to our children and their development. So I would do some research there. I can't go into it in detail right now. Maybe I'll make a video on that, but yeah, I definitely don't advocate for that. And I like that Magda Gerber and Janet Lansbury and Lisa Sunbury all talk about, when it comes to sleep learning, first of all, just setting your children up for success from infancy. And I've talked about that in my recent video about newborn sleep tips. I don't even know how recent that is, but I talk about that. Just making it easy for them to anticipate sleep and to enjoy the process of going down for bed and all of that. And you can really, I honestly did this with my son from the time he was a little tiny baby. And it was truly helpful. But in terms of dealing with the crying, I mean, it is difficult for biological reasons. It's in our nature from caveman times to not want our babies to cry for our own well-being. We're afraid of like the wolves at the entrance of the cave or whatever. And that innate instinct is still in us, that our babies can't cry. It's scary. It drives up some sort of anxiety in us and tension. But it's so normal and so necessary. And our children need to express themselves and how they're feeling, and it's totally okay. So reassuring yourself that way, like this is okay, and just being there. It's a really wonderful practice for later on in life, and as your child grows and changes and the things that they face become more and more severe, to just be there. I absolutely love what Fred Rogers has to say about crying. I'm gonna find it because it's worth hearing. I'm sure if you follow me on Instagram or wherever, I've talked about it before. Okay, here it is. Ready? Ready? Like, I didn't edit that out. People have said don't cry to other people for years and years, and all it has ever meant is, I'm too uncomfortable when you show your feelings. Don't cry. I'd rather have them say, go ahead and cry. I'm here to be with you. I'm here to be with you. Isn't it so funny? There's a constant theme in every question that's been asked and every difficulty that we all face, and it's just this simple need for people to be here, to be present, to hear us, to just feel us, what we're feeling, connect, to unconditionally love one another. And that goes for the parent-child relationship, for spouses, for boyfriends, girlfriends, sisters, brothers, friends, co-workers, you name it. The need for human connection is just so real and so valuable. And if we could only just give it to each other, it would be a fantastic place to live, I think. But that's a basic practice when your child is having a hard time going down to sleep, being able, and it's hard, and it is practice, to just be there and to say, I'm here to be with you. I'm here. I'm here. I know it's so hard, but that is truly valuable, and it'll get easier and easier with time. And like I said, set you up for success when there are really big issues as your child, goes through life. For you to be like, hey, you cry. It does not make me uncomfortable. I'm here, and I know this is what you need. You need me, just to listen, to love you unconditionally. So obviously that's not too helpful when it comes to the technical side of sleep learning and stuff, but watch my video on newborn sleep sleep learning and sleep tips. I mean, the stuff in that video truly helped me on a personal level. It really did, and I'm so thankful that I applied them from the get-go. But I think it'll be helpful regardless. How do you manage to do so much as far as your jobs and then being a mom, house chores and errands? I always recommend Peter F. Drucker's book, Managing Oneself. It helps you kind of figure out what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, your bad habits, your good habits. And I really applied what I learned in that book, and I've actually reread it a couple of times because I find it really helpful. But in general, I set timers for myself. I have a very routine schedule. Even if we go out for the day or do something, that's part of the routine. That's part of the schedule. We go out at the same time, we come in at the same time, and it is what it is. The routine literally saves my life. Without it, my day wouldn't be half as productive. So the structure is everything. I also highly recommend waking up before your children or your child. When I don't do this, my day is much more scattered and less productive, and I feel less fulfilled and more likely to feel frustrated about being a mom. I mean, gosh, it's like, oh man, and more defeated, and I feel more mom guilt, like, but I need to get this stuff done now, and Donovan's awake, and that stuff does not happen if I wake up before him and get certain things done out of the way, and then we have our routine where he has my undivided attention, and, you know, my work has my undivided attention, my passion projects have my undivided. It's just perfect. So structure your day, have a routine, get dressed every day, wake up before your children, meditate. I recommend doing that every single morning just to set a clear intention. What are my goals? I love the big 3 rule, your 3 big intentions for the day. I also exercise and eat a really healthy vegan diet, and I think that gives me a lot of energy to do all of that stuff and feel good. I also prioritize sleep. I go to bed pretty early. Because I know how many other parents will think I'm ruining the surprise for their kids. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I just watched the one on Santa, and I really agree with you that it is the most respectful way to go. But one question. Do you ask your son not to tell other kids about there being no Santa or Tooth Fairy? Because I know many other parents will think I'm ruining the surprise for their kids. Yeah, so I believe in an open communication policy with my son in general, with like literally any subject. I want him to know the truth. I want him to be immersed in reality all the time. I don't ever want there to be some phony thing that I'm telling him. I don't lie to my son. And that also goes for this. So if you're unfamiliar with my policy on Santa Claus, my son and I don't celebrate Christmas. I mean, my family does, but we definitely don't celebrate it in the fashion of like commercialism and buying a bunch of presents and telling him that Santa's coming down the chimney and all that stuff. I just tell him that a lot of people celebrate this way and they celebrate this holiday, and it's all good intentions. And that's what I'll continue to tell him forever, that people mean well by celebrating with Santa. They want their kids to have this really special memory, and they love the idea of Santa Claus, so it's fun for them. We don't want to ruin anybody's time, and we don't want to ruin anybody's special plans. So yeah, absolutely not talking about it's important, and maybe sharing how we celebrate in a respectful way would just be like, oh yeah, we do this, focusing on what we do celebrate and not on the fact that we don't choose to celebrate with Santa. But it's a really interesting concept altogether. Like this whole question could start a really interesting conversation, because I also plan to unschool my son and expose him to really a lot of people that are older than him, because like I just think that's how we learn best, and that's what people want. We want people that are more skilled and, you know, have had more life experience to be around. I mean, at least that's what I've always gravitated towards, and as a child I always wanted to be around people that knew more and could do more than me. But that's my intention for Donovan's whole upbringing and education. So it'll be interesting to see when he is around peers, his like children his own age, how he deals with that circumstance. It'll be interesting, but once again, it's nothing that isn't cured and helped with just open, honest conversation. Like, yeah, some people really love Santa, and we don't want to ruin that for them. So yeah, and this is why we don't. You know, I just don't think we need to. But some people, it's all good intentions. But that's what I would tell them. You know, people just, they want their kids to have a good time, and they probably celebrated like that when they were kids, and it's a special memory for them, and it's okay. It's no big deal. Same thing goes for the Tooth Fairy. Yeah, I would just tell him, we don't do that, but if you ever hear somebody talking about this, it's like a really special memory that their parents want to give them, so just lay low. How do you say no respectfully to things like hitting, touching something dangerous, etc.? I have a video about this as well, about setting respectful limits and boundaries, and it's all about calm, confident limit setting. I actually have been loving this so much because my son and I, I've gotten to the point where he's really loving to test boundaries and also loving to say no to me. And to place boundaries on me or on other people or other children. Like it's actually really fascinating to see him come into his power and understand that, he has control over his life and he has free will. It's really cool and fascinating to see him start to say no or mine. But in terms of how I say no and set limits is first and foremost figuring out if this limit needs to be placed. So things like hitting or safety concerns, absolutely. When that is the case, I'm like, okay, yeah, Donovan's being harmed or he's harming someone or he's in potential danger. I need to step in. And that would look something like, hey, first of all, talking to Donovan. I'm not going to allow you to hit, Donovan. You can't hit someone. If he's hitting again or something, I'm going to have to hold his hands confidently and calmly saying, hey, we don't hit other people, that it's going to hurt him or her, okay? Or, Donovan hits me sometimes. Hey, you can't hit me, Donovan, that hurts, okay? You can't hit me. Maybe he'll try to hit me again. Hey, holding his hand. You can't hit me, okay? It hurts me when you do that. Please don't hit me. Just staying calm and confident and not being affected by our child's behavior, like just being unfazed because it's not personal. Everything that our child does is part of who they're becoming and it's just part of their development and understanding relationships and reality, and that's all it is. It's not, nothing is ever personal. In terms of a safety concern, not freaking out and losing your cool and like running, which I know is hard sometimes if something's shocking, like your child runs into the road and darts over there, it's like, whoa, but trying to stay level-headed and not screaming at them, what are you doing? Why did you run into the road? What is going on? Or get down from there, or don't touch that. That just, it's more startling, and I think it causes a bigger problem. So just keeping that calm, confident energy, hey, whoa, it's not safe there. And just 1, 2, 3, I'm removing you here, okay? Just letting them know, I'm gonna pick you up now. I always ask Donovan first, because most of the time he's like, oh, okay, yeah, it must not be safe here. But that's the relationship that we've built. And so I know that's not a potential thing for some people, especially if your child's older and you're just being introduced to respectful parenting. But I absolutely always say, hey, Donovan, what you're doing isn't safe, okay? That I want you to step away from there because of whatever reason. I don't just say, no, don't go there. I'm like, hey, there are cars that come through here and I don't want you to be over there. Can you come to me? And if he doesn't come in a very short period of time, obviously, like I give him very few seconds because if something's actually dangerous, not just potentially dangerous, and I say, okay, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you then. And 1, 2, 3, here we go. We're going to a safer spot. When it's a no, like because something isn't opportune, like my son doesn't want to put on his shoes. I was listening to a great Unruffled episode, the podcast by Janet Lansbury, in which a mom was saying, I'm super kind, I'm super respectful to my kids, and why is it that when I try to say we need to get out of the house, I want you to put on your shoes, they start whining and throwing a big tantrum, and it's very theatrical and all this stuff she had to say. And then she's like, my husband comes in and just says, hey, come on guys, enough with the whatever, get your shoes on and let's go. And the kids do it. She was like super frustrated, like, well, why is it that when he does that, it works? And I love that Janet was like, well, it's just the confidence. He doesn't have time to be affected by whatever theatrics, she labeled it, they have to offer if they don't want to do it. Or he's just like, hey, we're going. We're out the door. And this does not mean to like neglect to see your child's actual rational needs and understand them and hear them. Absolutely, if Donovan doesn't want to do something, I first of all consider, wait, do I have time for this? Like probably, like for example, leaving the park. He doesn't want to leave the park. I'm like, well, what's the difference between right now and 5 minutes from now? Usually it's okay, or 10 minutes even. Or leaving the house, like what is the difference between right now and 5 minutes from now, or 10 minutes from now? Shoot, he's awake. Hi, sweetheart. Hey, baby. I'm gonna finish this video really quickly, okay? Just assessing whether or not it needs to be placed in the first place. Then just being calm and confident, not ignoring your child's needs or feelings, but just moving on, just moving and grooving. Oh, I see you're upset. I see that you don't want to do that, but we've got to go, okay? We've got to go. Here's your shoes. Here's shoe 1, shoe 2. Here we go, rolling it out the door. I think that's really, really helpful. Would you ever consider selling your Lightroom presets? No, no, not really. I have way too many other things, and I think that there are plenty of people out there doing that, and it's not lucrative enough for me to spend the time. Hi, babe. Hello. Do you do all your housework when your son is asleep or together with him? I clean as I go, and I do like a quick tidy up after every meal while he plays here on his pickler triangle and ramp. Vacuum after dinner every night. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. And any extra cleanup I typically do after Donovan's asleep, like dusting or wiping things down. But yeah, it's kind of like it's like an all-day marathon of cleaning for me. But I'm really particular about my space, so that's the way I do it. Favorite places to buy clothes for Donovan? Well, everything Donovan has on today is secondhand with the exception of his socks. So I love that. I love being able to buy him things that are used, that are still beautiful and good quality, because I mean he just grows so fast, and now that it's summertime I have a suspicion that he'll be getting pretty dirty. So I think it's a little bit absurd to pay a ton of money for clothing, plus I think that the clothes are being produced at such a crazy rate. I was just reading something at the zoo that said that if every person in the world lived and consumed like the average American, we would need 5 more Earths to sustain that, which made me feel really concerned. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to be said about that, and that has nothing to do with the question, sort of. So anyway, I try when I can to buy things secondhand. Was it hard when you stopped breastfeeding Donovan? Did it hinder his sleep? I didn't notice a difference in Donovan's sleep, but it was hard for me because I felt that it was due to some stress and anxiety in my life, that my milk supply started to dwindle. So yeah, here you go, bud. So that's that. Yeah, it was hard. Oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful way to connect to my son, and I mean to feed him in general. I loved it so much. Your most favorite Eckhart Tolle quote? I have it here, I think. See if you can catch yourself complaining in either speech or thought about a situation you find yourself in, what other people do or say, your surroundings, your life situation, even the weather. To complain is always non-acceptance of what is. It invariably carries an unconscious negative charge. When you complain, you make yourself into a victim. When you speak out, you are in your power. So change the situation by taking action or speaking out if necessary or possible. Leave the situation or accept it. All else is madness. And that's Eckhart Tolle. How do you deal with tantrums or when your child just won't go to bed or wash his hands, etc.? Man, okay, so I think of tantrums now, I mean, it's taken obviously practice and a lot of understanding of all the concepts I teach about, but I think of them as such a beautiful opportunity to connect with my son. I almost anticipate them sometimes when I know he's really tired, or I know he's had a long day, or I know that the situation has been confusing, for example, when we've traveled and we've come back, and all of that. And I'm looking for reasons to connect with him. I'm looking to let him know that I'm here, because that's all a tantrum is, for adults and toddlers alike, you know, just tension, built up tension that needs to be released. Obviously, it's much easier said than done. It's easier to deal with it when we're okay and when we're in a good headspace, which I do a very thorough job of making sure that I'm like that all the time, but that's intentional. But yeah, so I think one, understanding like what's really happening here, not taking your child's behavior personally again. That quote comes to mind, Janet Lansbury's, I think, your child is not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. I think that applies to adults too. It's just also relevant to any human being and relationship and understanding of life. But yeah, so for one, understanding like they're not giving me a hard time, they're just having a hard time. They're confused, they're frustrated, they're disappointed, all normal human things to be feeling. So I just try to be there for him and understand, and sportscast, oh gosh, I know, you can't do that right now, or oh, you don't want to do that. when it comes to things like going to bed or washing hands or like taking a bath, I really like to ask myself if this limit is necessary. I mean, geezy Pete, there have been so many days in my life where I didn't shower, and at the end of the day, and maybe I didn't shower for like 2 days, and I was just fine. I think it's strange that we place these like unnecessary limits on our children all the time, just because they're meant to be there. You have to take a bath. It's bath time. But what's the big deal? I think our children would be much more likely to take a bath and understand the importance of bath time if we just communicate. Right, if we just communicate openly about what's happening at bath time. You're getting clean. But if you're really tired right now, or if you just don't want to, you know what, that's okay. I definitely have been there before. I've definitely been like, I just do not feel like taking off my makeup, or I don't feel like washing my face, I don't feel like getting out of bed to brush my teeth. All those things sound gross, but I know if you're watching this, you've been there, because it's normal. And I think we need to give our kids a little bit of understanding. Obviously, not washing our hands is gross, like if you've gone to the bathroom. So I would explain that, well, you might have waste on your hands. We need to be clean. You gotta wash them. Do you want to play with, I mean, geez, washing your hands is kind of fun for kids too. The soap, the mess, the water. So I think that there's a lot of potential there to be had with hand washing, if that's a difficult one for you to conquer. But yeah, I think just give them some time to respond to you. Ask them, request, like, hey, can we wash your hands, like, because it's dirty? And actually wait for a response. Don't get frustrated before they even give you, anything to work with, if that makes sense. Mascara, obviously Arbonne. I only use Arbonne makeup, and yeah, if you want to try it, my link's in my description box. How are you? Well, that's a great question. I don't know the last time somebody actually asked me such like a genuine, how are you? I feel like this is so sincere, Miss Strangebird, so thank you. I'm okay. I feel great in a lot of areas of my life. In terms of self-development, I feel wonderful, like the best I've ever felt. I feel more confident than I've ever felt, more enlightened, more coachable, and empathetic and understanding than I've ever been. I also feel like my relationship with my son is so extraordinary and beautiful and special, and I'm really grateful for it, so I feel wonderful there. And I love being a mom so much. My businesses are all doing really well and thriving, and I've been able to build some amazing, an amazing community of women through Arbonne, which is so exciting and fun, and it's so cool to see them all grow. What else? I mean, geez, somebody asked me if I'm dating, and I am. I started seeing someone like so special.
Wow!
You guys.
Wow!
Wow is right. Yeah, he's amazing, and has just made life like so much more joyful and fulfilling and sweet. I mean, I already felt so good about life. It's kind of like he came at the perfect time when I was like, everything is starting to shift into place, and I feel really good and really ready for something like that. And he came, and yeah, that's been amazing. He doesn't live nearby, which is the worst, but because of the relationship, there has been some tension in terms of, my son's dad. It's been scary for me and awful in a lot of ways, but I always choose love. I always choose peace and love, especially at this phase in my life when I don't have to answer to anyone and I can live my life. And I don't know, my transition has been really liberating in a lot of ways, but especially in terms of just being able to do and say what I want, when I want, to wear what I want, to go where I want. I couldn't do those things. I couldn't for a while, and it was really hard and scary and awful, and so backward to everything that I believe in and care about and cherish in life. So I decided, I'm no longer going to allow anybody to dictate my decisions and my lifestyle. If I want someone in my life romantically, especially if they're just incredible and just like such a wonderful fit. I don't care what anyone has to say. I don't, and I'm not going to pay attention to it because it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve my son. But I have nothing but love for people, and I only want everyone to be happy, and I just want there to be peace. I mean, that's really all it is. So anyway, that's been difficult, but that's how I'm doing. I don't know, a lot of good things, a lot of blessings in my life, and I'm really grateful right now. How old is Donovan now? Donovan is going to be 2, May 31st. So yeah, it's now, what day is today? What day is today, Donovan? Do you know? How will you choose a school for Donovan? Yeah, I don't plan on doing that. I plan on unschooling Donovan and exposing him to a lot of mentors, sort of like an old school style of apprenticeship. I want him to have many different people in his life that are experts in different areas of his interests that can show him the way and guide him to what that looks like realistically as an adult and as a career, maybe a business. I want him to understand money, business, like I mentioned, and I want him to be able to apply the things that he learns in terms of science, math, reading, language, culture, all that directly to reality. You know, I want him to be able to actually comprehend the things that he's learning, and I want for the things that he's learning to be valuable to him and interesting, and yeah, so I don't think I can find that in you know, your modern day education system, especially not like a public school. So I'm gonna go ahead and build that sort of curriculum for him at home. And a lot of people misconstrue this with thinking that, you know, like a lot of homeschool parents design their life around sheltering their children, whereas I want to expose Donovan to reality as much as possible. I want him to really be able to navigate life from an intrinsic place, and I think that the best way for me to support that is to design a different kind of education for him at home and in life. When do you find time to read and look after yourself? All day long. I don't know if you've watched any of my day in the life vlogs, but I wake up before Donovan, usually about an hour and a half or 2 hours if I'm feeling really good. That way I can meditate, do a little bit of stretching or yoga, breathing, drink my water, drink my pre-probiotic, put on some makeup, or maybe not, maybe I'm going to the gym first thing in the morning when he wakes up. I mean, all day long I find ways to constantly nourish myself, my mental health, my physical health, and prioritize me. You know, somebody asked me a question about this the other day, and I thought instantly of that, the analogy of the mask on a plane, when they tell you, like, if the plane's going down, you put your mask on first, then your child. And it's such a great analogy in my opinion, because we have to be taken care of in order to take care of other people. It is what it is. Constantly find ways to do things that feed me and my soul. Reading, I do that kind of in the daytime, or sometimes when Donovan's enjoying independent play, I'll just take a book into his bedroom and sort of observe him, or right before bed is my favorite time to read. At what time do you go to bed if you wake up at 5 a.m. to have that 1 hour before Donovan wakes up? So typically Donovan wakes up around 7:30, so I wake up at like 5:30 to 6:30. It just kind of depends on how I'm feeling. I don't always wake up at 5 a.m., but I do go to bed at like 10:30. How to react when family, friends give Dee a gift or toy that's against Rye. I think it would be extraordinarily rude to just tell somebody after they spent time once searching for a gift and thinking about what to get you or your child, and then spending their money on it, to tell them like, oh, this isn't something that we would use. It just is really mean in my opinion, because it's a lot of effort to get somebody a gift. I mean, geez, they even had to go to a store probably, or like go online, and they have other things to do. So I always think about that first and foremost, and find it so sweet that they bought anything for my son, and focus on that. And you know, obviously we don't play with it. It'll be stored, and I'll donate it or give it to somebody that likes those kind of things. And that's it. That's really it. But to nip that in the bud, I actually make very strong suggestions. Don't focus on, we don't allow this, or I don't like that, or this isn't cool with me. I would say focus on what you love, because people want to get you something that you're going to love. They want to get something for your child that they're going to utilize and love having in their space. So focus on the things that you really, really like and tell people about it, because they'll remember that, and hopefully those are the things that they'll choose. But I also really always recommend experiences, like asking for them first. Hey, we love experiences. If you know of any good museums or parks or places or concerts that are coming in or something like that, like kids concerts, because those happen often, you'd be surprised what we'd be into doing. That's a good way to also prevent stuff like this from happening. How much time does Dee get with other kids, especially with being unschooled, only child, stay-at-home mom? Oh, wow, I feel like Donovan is around other children every single day for at least 1 hour. Because I go to the gym for an hour every day almost, with the exception of like 1 day a week. Wee-yaw. And, you know, there's a ton of other kids there, and he loves it so much. Wee-yaw. And then we also spend every single day, we go to a park, especially now that it's nice out. But before that, we went to the library, we went to the museum. So Donovan spent time with children every single day. I mean, at least 1 hour, if not 2 to 3 hours daily with other children. You love your mama. Yeah, that's my mom. I love her so much. You'll get yes, Mom. I love you so much. Her little profile pictures, her and Donovan. Say yes, Mom. Yes, Nana. How did you come to the realization that you were in an abusive relationship, and what steps did you take to get out? Well, hey, honey. Hello. Hi. Ow, ow. Can I have that, please?
No.
What? Can I have the binky, please? It's not night time. Thank you. Oh, hi. Hi, sweetheart. I love you so much.
I love Papa.
We're gonna go to Nana and Papa's. I'm almost done, okay? Can I have your binky, though?
No.
Will you give it to me, please? Thank you. Thank you. It's for night. All done.
Ada.
All done. Okay, I have to answer this. It's a very serious question.
Ada.
So,
Ada.
all done. Yes, binky time.
Ada binti.
All done with the binkies. I'll put them right here in my pocket, okay? I knew very early on that this was an abusive relationship,
No.
but I think my ego, my insecurity of not being enough, not being worthy of this sort of unconditional love, I was like desperate to please him and impress him and be enough for him, which perpetuated more abuse and more intense abuse. So it went from like simple verbal abuse and emotional abuse, like trying to intimidate me and scare me, to actually harming me physically. So obviously that's when it became like a bold letter, this is an abusive relationship. But I remember looking up, it's so crazy, you know, like Googling emotional abuse, what is that? Is this an emotionally abusive relationship? And I'd be like, oh wow, yeah, absolutely, that's what I'm going through right now. I don't believe in comparative suffering whatsoever. I think that suffering is suffering and pain is pain. And I actually do believe that, gosh, this is really hard for me to talk about, that the emotional abuse and like the guilt, the manipulation, the shame, the taunting, the mocking, I think that was absolutely, that's what I've still been trying to heal from. The physical abuse, you know, the bruises go away. And you know, you kind of like put those images and experiences, you can put them, it's hard for me to talk about, you can put them away and like close them off, but it's the ongoing process of emotional abuse and unraveling that and overcoming that is absolutely the most difficult. So yeah, when I started to realize those things happening over and over again, and how I was feeling scared and anxious and intimidated, all things that I had never felt ever. I've just been a person with a good attitude my whole life, thank gosh. So when I felt unsafe and anxious and like I was sort of like afraid to say certain things, or afraid to do certain things or go certain places because of what might happen. In terms of just a general response, I knew, yeah, this is absolutely an abusive relationship, and I the only way that I didn't, I think, like lose my mind or go crazy or get severely depressed or something is because I told myself almost every day, I don't deserve this. I'm not going to be here. This isn't permanent. I'm here for a reason. And I mean, obviously my reason is my son, I think. And obviously to help other people. This is the first time that I've ever talked about it. So, you know, it's obviously, it's difficult. I would pray a lot, and that you guys, if you followed my channel and you've watched other Q&As, you know that I'm not necessarily a religious person in terms of organized religion, but I do believe in God, and I prayed a lot and asked for a lot of guidance, and I asked for a lot of, I asked for general safety and well-being. This is really hard to talk about. But yeah, so I prayed a lot during this time, and I meditated a lot during this time, just to always ask for the same thing. You know, I always heard, this sounds so cheesy, but I heard Oprah Winfrey always saying that she would ask God to use her as a tool. And so I started doing that too. And I would just pray for that, you know. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm going through this. But please, you know, please, if it could be done soon, that's what I would ask, you know. I would love that. If I could just help people, if that's what I'm supposed to do, if that's why this has been given to me, then okay, I'll do it. You know, I'll try my best to be whatever I can be to serve you, you know. And I know some people might watch this and be freaked out, like, whoa. But, you know, I really do believe that. I'm like, okay, I would ask that of God or the universe, whatever you think or you connect to. That's what I would say every day. Like, show me the path, you know, show me how I'm supposed to help people with my experience, with what I'm going through. How can I make the world a better place because of this experience? I know that's why you gave this to me. I know I can handle it. I know I'm gonna get through it. And here we are. But I mean, geez, it's like really, really difficult. I'm shaking. It's really hard for me to talk about. And it's, you know what's going through my head right now, you guys, is his voice, like, telling me, like, if you ever talk about this, you're just gonna look so stupid. And people are gonna think you're crazy. And you're a liar and all of those things. And that's really what's going through my head right now. So I don't even know if I'll put this in my video. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that the steps to getting out.
No.
I'm so sorry, bud. I'm so sorry. And
Hey.
somebody asked me a question about when you're having a hard time in front of your kids. So this is a good example. Yeah, I just, you know, it's normal. It's a normal thing. Donovan doesn't see me, like, get upset often, obviously. This is something I typically do privately if I have to cry or feel something really intense. Hey, bud, please don't touch the camera, okay? Yeah, so anyway, gosh, I can't even keep my thoughts straight.
Mama.
Hey, babe. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. I'm talking about something that's really hard for me.
No.
Yeah, I know, bud. I'm almost done. I'm gonna just finish this. Yeah, the ball. Will you give me that ball?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm just having a hard time. It's really something that's hard for Mama to talk about. Go ahead, throw it to me. I honestly don't even remember what I was saying. I have a ball now. Hey, here you go. Oh, in terms of getting out of the situation, I, like many women, was actually left. I didn't leave the situation. And that's something that's also really hard for me to tell other people. because a lot of people hear my story, like people that maybe talk to me on a really personal level and I'm able to open up to them about my situation. They're like, oh, but you're so strong. You got out of there. And I'm honestly too embarrassed to tell them the truth that he told me, go live with your parents, figure out your life, do something, I don't know, I don't care. And that's how this happened, you know. He hurt me in front of my son. I said, I can't anymore. This can't happen. This can't happen ever again. And so that was it, you know. Within a week I came back to Ohio, like I said in the beginning, with one suitcase and my son. And I'm so grateful that he gave me that. I'm so grateful. And gosh, I'm so sorry, you guys. I feel like every time there's a Q&A, I like tell you something very deeply personal that's really hard for me. But, you know, I really don't think that it's a coincidence that I was praying to God for a way out of there once I had learned everything I needed to learn and grown and had the experience that I needed to help other people, that he just happened to leave me. But yeah, so he left me. I didn't leave the situation. But for anybody watching this that maybe is really connecting to what I'm saying somehow through how crazy it's coming off, I beg you to do that for yourself. I beg you. I mean, geez, I don't know. Looking back, when I think about my experience, I don't know how I was okay, like how I was okay on a daily basis, smiling, making videos, being so loving with my son. I don't know. I'm having a hard time breathing for a second. Hold on. But I don't know how I was doing it. I don't know how I was cooking all the time and cleaning all the time and just being sweet with people and trying my best and getting dressed. And I don't know. I don't know. And, you know, I'm finally talking about it because the thing that kills me the most is when I would be there and I would think, wow, Kate, you're so strong. You've got such a good attitude. It's okay. This is temporary. You know, you've been given this for a reason and you're going to be able to help a lot of people. And that's what I would tell myself. But I know that there are so many women that aren't telling themselves that and that are going through something like what I was going through. And maybe, you know, similar things that what I'm going through now. And it kills me that I can't help them. So if you're somebody like that, take some strength from me, from my experience. Maybe you already are. Maybe that's why you watch my channel, because I'm thriving now. Take strength from me, seriously. You can build anything. You can have anything that you want in life. Nobody owns you. Nobody can ever own you. And you deserve unconditional love. You deserve respect. You deserve to be heard. And I think that, you know, whatever you can do, tell somebody. One, I wish I would have told somebody. I wish, you know, but I didn't. I was too embarrassed and too ashamed. And guess what? You know what? I've been received with nothing. Hey, but this is so important. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm almost done, okay? Do you want a snack?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I know this is like really bad timing, but I'm gonna get Donovan a clementine. Okay, honey. I'm so sorry. Gosh. Absolutely tell somebody. That would be my first step. If I could go back in time and get away from my situation, it would be to just tell somebody what was happening. Show them my body, you know, just tell them, I'm sorry, I get really shaky. And of course, like, his voice is literally in my head again, like, you know, what an actress, you're such an actress, whatever. But, promise you guys, this is not easy for me to share. This is not easy for me to talk about. So you know what, I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna do it. And I know this is not pretty. I wish more than anything that I would have told my parents that I would have told my best friend. You know, I know a lot of people in my life suspected things were not good and were just waiting for me to say something. But you guys, people, it's so delicate. It's such a sensitive topic, and I know no one wanted to offend me because my life looked fine and great, and I looked happy. My mom, she knew. I know she knew, and it killed her. It killed my parents. Sorry, guys. And she tried to ask me if I was okay a couple of times, but I was so ashamed of my situation that I couldn't tell her. But if you feel like you have anybody close to you in your life that you trust, please tell them what's going on. I know that if I would have showed, you know, my best friend, Danielle, who worked out with me every single morning, my physical body, I mean, I absolutely don't think I would have been there anymore. I mean, there was a time where we would work out together, and I was, you know, I couldn't wear short sleeves or shorts to the gym with her. And I just like kept telling myself, Kate, just like show her your, like, the bruises, like show her your leg, show her your arm. And I just couldn't do it. And she was my dearest friend. I was just so humiliated, and I felt like I have nothing. What am I gonna do? I have my little baby. What am I gonna do? I have nothing. But if I would have just told her, you know, if I would have just told my neighbor, who was so kind to me so many times, that I was like, gosh, I just wish I could tell her what I'm going through. And there were so many times that I would be on the phone with like a loved one or somebody, and there might be like a lull in the conversation where I just wanted to tell them, like, hey, I kind of need your help with something. That's my number one advice. And I know this has now become a very intense video, but yeah, that's how I knew from the pretty much very beginning. It's good. Oh, I'm not hungry right now, honey. And I wish I would have just told somebody. Okay, so I'm feeling a little bit more calm now, and my son really needs my attention, so I'm gonna go. And I know that was maybe abrupt, I'm not sure, but I told you I didn't review those questions, so I didn't see that coming, and I also feel like maybe it's just time for me to share that about my life and about myself. Obviously, it's something that I'm still healing from. You know, I still have a lot of like physical reactions and responses, like I'm really shaking a lot right now and like having a hard time breathing right now. So gosh, I think there could be a lot of valuable content for other people that have faced something similar to what I faced or maybe are facing. And I would love to help, because like I mentioned, you know, I think that's part of why I went through what I went through. So anyway, yeah, if you found this video helpful at all or valuable at all, and I know I answered a lot of other great questions, please, you know, I find a way to talk to me about it. I know my comments have been disabled because of like predatory comments and things like that, which it's really devastating because I haven't seen any of those on my channel, nor do I even have Donovan really in most of my content. It's a little bit frustrating. Obviously, I would love to talk to you guys. I mean, this community has been so inspiring to me. Just the just the general growth and the support and encouragement. Obviously, now you guys know when I say like thank you from the bottom of my heart, I really mean it. It meant everything to me to have any form of community, any form of connection with people, to not feel so alone and isolated during what I was going through. So I really mean it. Thank you. And in terms of, you know, being able to rebuild my life, I mean, who knows what this channel will bring about for me. And I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that come my way. So thank you. Okay. But yeah, so anyway, thank you so much for watching this video and all of my other videos. If you want to give it a thumbs up, that'd be great. It's kind of like an odd thing to thumbs up to, but I would really appreciate it. And If you want to send me a message on Instagram, that'd be great. Just like I did in the last video. I'll do like a little question box where you can basically put what you would have commented here in this comment section that's no longer existent there. So I can hear your feedback and see what you think. And I'm looking forward to it, especially now that I've been able to be open and honest about my situation, which it's taken me a very long time to be. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I promise not everything is so serious. Gosh, I actually try to make sure that my content stays pretty lighthearted and clear. And I don't know if this video has been either of those things, so I'm sorry if it hasn't been your vibe, but I'm assuming that you'll find some other good stuff of value on my channel elsewhere. So if you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell for anytime I post a new video, follow me on Instagram at @themelmama, and look out for the next video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys. Do you want to say bye to them, bud?
Bye.
Bye. All right. Okay, bye. I have an orange peel in this hand and oranges in that.